Hi bestie, welcome to the Best Friend Book Club. I'm so happy you made it. I'm Sarah. Today I'm going to be diving into my top book recs. These are the books that I will always tell you to read because I love them so much and I think you would love them so much because we're besties, obviously, right? So I read primarily romance. Most of these are going to have at least a little sprinkling of romance. So if that's not your vibe, I am so sorry. But if that is your vibe, scoot a little closer. Let's get nice and comfy because we're gonna get into it. First up, we have Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan. This is probably my #1 contemporary romance recommendation. I will always recommend this book because not only is their friendship is beautiful and their friendship is really beautiful, but also the way they understand each other, their love story, the healing that happens, this is just such a beautiful love story. And on top of that, spice is pretty good. So what more can you ask for? What more could you want from a book? So please just pick it up and read it and then be like, wow, that was amazing. What else do you recommend? Don't worry, I have so many more. But I love this book so much. This is also I just want to throw this in here because I know she's watching. Hi Simone. This is the book that sparked my friendship with Simone, and it's my friendship book with her. It's just so special. So please read this. Ugh. I love Archer and Bree. But just to give you a little idea of what to expect, the shelves that I put this on, we have Grumpy Sunshine, Small Town, Healing, and Emotional Damage. So my emotional damage shelf is any books that made me cry for any reason. It's not gonna always be the same reason, but if I cried, emotional damage. So yes, book #1, please read this. Book #2, this was in I think this was in the Best and Worst podcast episode that I did with Chelsea, but The Burns We Carry by Murray Good. And if by some chance Murray is watching this, hi, I love this book. I was an ARC reader for this book and then was like, I need a physical copy right now, and I ordered the signed copy. And it came with the stickers and it came with the cutest stickers. I am obsessed with the Graham brothers. I cannot wait for the next book. But so this is I think I'm just gonna give you guys a couple of the shelves that I put it on my Goodreads to just give you an idea of what the book is like without giving you the whole explanation of the plot of the book itself. I hope that works. So this one is also on my Grumpy Sunshine, Small Town, Healing, and I think this is also on my emotional damage shelf because yes, I did cry. This book is the reason that I made the healing shelf on my Goodreads because I love this story. Murray did the damn thing. I love this story. It gave me all the warm and fuzzies. I can't recommend this one enough. Please, here you go. You can borrow my copy and just let me know what you think. I think it's on Kindle Unlimited if I remember correctly. I can check really fast, hold on. So yes, it is on Kindle Unlimited. It has a different cover, but still, Burns We Carry by Murray Good. I need you to read this right now. And Murray is just so sweet. She's just so sweet and so kind, and she just makes me happy, you know? I thoroughly enjoyed myself while reading this book. Also, the arc that I got for this book was the first book I ever read on my Kindle, so it just has a little special place in my heart. I fell in love with my Kindle and this book at the same time. Just please read it. It's just a little baby. I somehow forgot to mention this, but the other shelf that I have it on is my Found Family shelf. If you put Found Family in any book, I will read it. It is one of my all-time favorite tropes, but the Found Family element is just done so well. The way that they just rally around Shay, it's just so sweet and made me feel such intense emotions at the same time. She really did the damn thing. I really enjoyed this one, and I'm so excited for Nolan and Levi's stories. I can't wait. Next up, we have a little fantasy romance. Are you surprised? Because I'm not. It's A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas, or ACOTAR, as you've probably seen literally everywhere. If you have somehow managed to not hear anything about this series, If you are the one person who has not heard anything about this series, has not seen a single spoiler, stop what you're doing. Turn this video off and go read this entire series and then come back. And then we can like chit chat about it later. But this, I feel like this series specifically, at least for me, was so heavily spoiled by TikTok and Instagram, but I still loved every single second of it. This is a series that like kickstarted my podcast, so it has a very, very special place in my heart, but I can't get enough of this series. I'm currently reading the Throne of Glass series, but this one is so good. So this is, I'm gonna put it in the category of new adult fantasy romance. I feel like that's where it goes. The first one is a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. I'm sure you've heard of ACOTAR at some point or another. But if you somehow haven't, please go read it right now. Oh my gosh. And if you read it for the first time, like, feel free. Like, please, I'm begging you to DM me your feelings as you read it, because I feel like I'm experiencing it for the first time again. Oh my gosh, that's just so special. So if you do end up doing that, DM me, please. I would love to hear your thoughts. But this is one of a, right now, five book series. The world building, character development, romance, it's all there. It is all there. All the things that I want. Oh, found family. Hello, that's what I said earlier. Found family. It is so good. And if you haven't read any fantasy romance before, I feel like this is like a lot of people's first fantasy romance. But if you haven't, here you go. If anybody is like watching this, never read it, please DM me your thoughts, because it just makes my heart happy. But if you have read this book, you know what I'm talking about. It's just so good. So good. This was like my first adult fantasy romance, because I feel like the first fantasy romance that got me back into reading was the Red Queen series, but this really solidified the fantasy romance era. Up next is the Kings of Sin series by Ana Huang. Now, I have not read King of Greed. I've only read King of Wrath and King of Pride, but these, I think they're both billionaires, if I remember correctly. I think they're both billionaires, so yes, please. Billionaire romance. This one is arranged marriage. Oh, this one was good. Arranged marriage, kind of enemies-ish to lovers. If you want spicy billionaire arranged marriage type situation, here you go. This is the book for you. I love Ana Huang. She's amazing. Like, kisses to her wherever she is. She's so amazing. So there's this one. This is Dante and Vivian. Yes, this is Dante and Vivian. And then this one, if I hold it correctly, this one is Kai and Isabella. So Kai and Isabella, this one's more like opposites attract, workplace romance, forbidden romance. But both of these are quite spicy, and the spice is done pretty well in my opinion. I've also heard the audiobooks for these are really good. I haven't checked this out, but I will. I really like Ana Huang. And I like that in this one, in both of these, we get to see little sneak peeks of the characters from like her Twisted series, which, hold on, let me get it. Speaking of the Twisted series, the two books that I put on my list were Twisted Games and Twisted Lies. These are my two favorite in the series. The whole series is good. However, I'm not gonna recommend Twisted Love because it's my least favorite of the four, and I'm not gonna be like, yeah, you have to read it. It just wasn't for me. But Twisted Games, bodyguard princess romance, and the spice is done so well, like kind of slow burn where he's just like, he can't do it because that's, you know, his job to protect her. Ah, so good. This one's so good. And then this one was so, I think this one was my favorite in the series. It's been a while since I've read it, but I remember falling in love with Christian Harper. He's like the owner of a security company, and I'm pretty sure Stella has some kind of stalker. And she's like oh, this one's fake dating. That's what it is. So this is like fake dating. I think he's also a billionaire. Anna Huang and her billionaire romances. She does the damn thing. But fake dating, billionaire. This one, so good. Twisted Hate is also good, but if I could only pick, like, if these are the books that I will always recommend, it's always gonna be Twisted Games and Twisted Lies. So if you haven't read them yet, I'd recommend the whole series. I would, but the first one is, to me, very different than second, third, and fourth. So I'm not gonna highly recommend the first one, but I will highly recommend Twisted Games and Twisted Lies. Then moving on into some young adult fantasy. I don't want to call it young adult fantasy romance. This is mostly just young adult fantasy with like the slightest sprinkling of romance. So this is the Six of Crows duology. I cried very hard when I read this. So the thing on the front says 6 dangerous outcasts, 1 impossible heist. I really thought that I had everything figured out when I was reading this, and I was so wrong, but I was so happy to be so wrong. You do need to read both of them, but these are really good. Like, the fantasy is just done, to me, the fantasy elements are done very well, and I thoroughly enjoyed myself while I read this. I also really love the characters in this one. I love the characters in most of these books that I'm recommending, obviously, but just something about the characters in this one and how this is also found family. Wow, I'm learning so much about myself today. This is also found family. Really well done. Right when you think you have it all figured out, they're like, just kidding. We haven't been telling you, the reader, these very important details the whole time. Loved it. And as far as physical books go, this is the last one, Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. This is completely young adult romance, like nothing on page. I'm pretty sure they probably kiss at some point. That's it. This is one of the sweetest romance stories I've read in a very long time. I was reading this and giggling. I was kicking my feet. I was having the time of my life when I was reading this. So please go read this. And I love that at the beginning of the chapters, they have like references to different movies. It just made me happy. Somebody said that it reminded them of 10 Things I Hate About You. Kind of. But don't go into it being like, this is an exact replica of 10 Things I Hate About You. It's not. I'm pretty sure this one's fake dating. Like childhood friends to enemies to lovers. But are they really ever enemies? That kind of vibe. If you just want something like very light, but also romantic and funny at times. I had such a good time reading this, so I'd say this is the one right here. The only book that I own in the series is my least favorite book of the entire series, Flawless by Elsie Silver. The Chestnut Springs series is one of my favorites, but I hated this book. I really did not like this book. It was not my cup of tea, but this is the only physical copy I own. So I would say of the entire 5-book series, I'll put them on the screen here. Reckless and Heartless were my 2 favorites in this series. Heartless is single dad and nanny romance, and Reckless is one night stand turned accidental pregnancy situation. Reckless is probably my favorite of the 2. I really enjoyed both of them, but I really liked Reckless. So both Reckless and Heartless, the whole series, cowboy romance series, I'm gonna say except for the 3rd book, because the 3rd book is, he's a hockey player, but also it doesn't really have too much hockey elements for me for it to be considered a hockey romance, but all of them are the Chestnut Springs series, so they're cowboy romances. Cowboy romance, we have Heartless, We have Heartless, Single Dad Nanny, so cute, spicy. Also, Reckless. The whole series is pretty spicy. I thoroughly enjoyed the Chestnut Spring series, minus the first book. I almost gave up on the series when I read this one, and I'm so happy I didn't. This just wasn't for me. Rhett just wasn't the guy for me, and that's okay. He might be the guy for you, but he's just not the guy for me. But Cade and Theo, absolutely. And also, of course, I'm going to recommend the Queen's Cove series by Stephanie Archer. It's on Kindle Unlimited. I don't own any copies of it. I should really buy them. But I love that series. I have a full video review of that series if you want to check it out. But thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe. I will see you next week. Bye.